All right, welcome back to HM and Big E Review Things after a bit of a summer break and both of us catching COVID and recovering. We are here and back, and we've got a lot of catching up to do. Today we are here to talk about another expo that we went to. We went to Motor City Comic Con together in May, and this time, Homing here went to C2E2 in Chicago.
Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. That's why it's called C2E2.
And that happened in...
That happens in August. Apparently, sometimes they do it twice a year. So
really?
they
What's with all these twice a year?
It's just they can do it. So they have the fan base to do it.
All right. So we've been on a few cons. San Diego.
Yes.
Right?
New York.
New York, a little under, but still very good.
Yes, I see this.
You know where this is going.
Below the table.
Motor City Comic Con. You saw our grade. We have a video for it here. Where does this one kind of overall rank? We'll break into a little bit of the details a little bit. But what am I expecting here, just overall?
Well, first of all, you need to know it's done by Reed Pop.
Okay.
That kind of gives you...
They're the same people that does New York Comic Con
and Emerald City.
Okay.
So there's a certain standard you're looking for, your quality control.
Yep.
So I would say, in terms of breadth and depth, it's not at the highest peak.
Okay.
I don't know if that's because of COVID, they couldn't get certain sponsors. But I think overall it's pretty much in the middle, a little bit higher than probably than average con. I'm here in Chicago for C2E2, Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, one of the larger cons, especially in the summer. It's produced by Reed Pop, the same group that does New York Comic Con. We've been twice. It's a really good event the last time we went to the New York Comic Con. So I have really high expectations for C2E2. Yesterday I went to McCormick Place, this big exhibition hall downtown Chicago, and I got my badge activated. So we got a 3-day badge, my family. I'm excited. I have my Uhura t-shirt. So rest in peace, Nichelle Nichols, one of the greats of Star Trek. She passed away this past week, but I'm excited. Now, normally for these cons, we do a few things, we review a few things. The first being experience. What does this con feel like, in terms of the atmosphere, the energy, the crowds, you're just going to feel that buzz. You want to take a look at that. Secondly, we're going to look at the entertainment. What are the big display pieces? What are things that catch your eye? Do you have a lot of fun just walking around and seeing things? And are there prizes and giveaways and panels, and fan events, fan meetups? Are those type of things there? Thirdly, it's exhibitors, the breadth and depth of exhibitors. Obviously, we're going to see some big display pieces and big exhibitors. Maybe Marvel will be there, Bandai, toy companies. Last time I was in New York Comic Con, we had Dragon Ball, big companies showing up. Also, smaller, local exhibitors. We're talking about local comic book dealers, artists. Are there a range that you're going to see? Lastly, the fourth E is event flow, which is a big one, is how efficiently and safely do you get people in and out of the building, in lines, lining up the food court, how is that experience? Because that can ruin or make or break your experience, obviously, in a con. So anyways, we'll check back in once I'm inside, and we'll take some footage, we'll walk around, we'll take a look, and hope you enjoy this review. All right, so this is part of the lining up experience. You can see there's a massive crowd brewing and people are starting to move forward, and you just have to kind of be patient. But so far the crowd control's been quite good, and there's a lot of security, a lot of people telling you where to go. It's been pretty easy to get through. So this is good an example of event flow management, because they filled up this section, people are going in, they just open the doors, but this section here is next in line, but they're in sections. So good example of event flow. Of course, we're in Artist Alley. There's a lot of different artists, the rows and rows of people selling a lot of their unique drawings and merch. And I always like this because you get to see a lot of the local expressions, people doing their stuff. Really cool. So this is something a little bit new I've not seen before, but there's tattoo artists here. So you can see that they're getting tattoos with some science fiction theme, fantasy theme. But it's one of the first times I've seen tattoo artists at a Comic-Con. All right, we're at day 2 of C2E2. Obviously Saturday, a lot busier, a lot more people. You can see people flooding in now. We're just open at 10, so we'll see what happens today. One thing I do notice is increasingly, having been to more cons, there seems to be a little less of the traditional comics offered, comic books, so to speak. There are still some, but really a lot of it's just artwork and merchandise that's taken over, which is cool too. You still see some people, die-hard fans, collecting comic books, but seems less and less. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what my observation is. Just finished the Star Wars Inquisitors panel, and it was a really good panel. All three were really charming and funny. Normally, some of these questions that come from the audience are just terrible, really pandering, weird questions, but everybody seemed pretty quite self-aware, asking funny questions and drawing out some good responses, and seemed like I have a fun time, So ReedPop does a really good job, I think, overall of the presentation of in terms of professionalism and sort of the whole atmosphere they create. So good job. I was surprised.
So when we were reviewing Motor City Comic Con, we came up with the 4 E's.
Right.
The 4 E's to grade a con.
Experience.
Yep.
Entertainment, exhibitors, event flow.
All right. So the first one is
experience.
Experience. Okay. So what is experience, and what would you grade the experience of
Experience is like the overall atmosphere, how you feel about the entire thing,
how energetic the fans are.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say overall, this was pretty good. I'd probably give it a solid B+. People seem pretty enthusiastic about it.
Nice.
The lines are quite long. And
there was a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, and the energy's pretty up there.
Yeah. Was the floor big, or?
The floor is pretty big. It's not as big as New York or San Diego.
Okay.
But ReedPop does a great job of sort of maximizing the space, shall I say.
Good. Excellent. And then the second one is entertainment. So that's kind of like
what are
at the
fun,
booths.
Fun activities.
Have fun things for you to try, that draw you in. And,
so this is, what I'd say about this is, I felt ReedPop was really trying its best.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I don't know, because of COVID, they couldn't get Marvel or some of these bigger sponsors. The big title sponsor was One Piece. Which is an anime show, and it's huge, and and they're doing a sort of a North American tour. There's a big boat, and they're giving a lot of freebies, bandanas and posters and bags and things like that, because they're doing a movie that's coming out in the fall. That was one of the big showcase pieces, but the rest were quite much more local. Now, the Chicago White Sox did show up. I went back to that booth every day and won probably 6 hats and a bunch of different things. You just keep on going and winning stuff. I won so many things from there. But other than that, they didn't have a lot of the big exhibitors.
All right. So entertainment overall, then
it's still I would actually I'll give it a B+. Why? Because they tried their best. They had something called the Yard, which is like this big open space with some greenery that you could sit down. There's a beer garden kind of thing. They had a huge video game section that you could just sit there and play for hours.
Nice.
Like the latest and old style games. You don't have to pay for it. You just play old arcade games. You play a lot of games. So I mean, I would say kudos to ReedPop. I think they tried their best for what they had. Maybe, again, because of COVID, they limited. The Artist Alley is really big there. And, the star power, they got quite a lot from the wrestling world, which I like, but also some other stars as well.
Okay, so that's experience, entertainment, and then exhibitors.
Exhibitors.
You kind of hit on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's there.
Who's there, yeah. I mean, they had, again, a few, like they had AEW, which is another wrestling company there, with some of the stars, like CM Punk was there. But in terms of the big title sponsors, I didn't see too many.
Yeah.
Really, there's maybe only a few. There was Bandai, the toy companies and things like that.
Well, I mean, it's funny you talk about that, because obviously we're in an upcoming video that we're going to film and release. We're going to review Fan Expo as well, right. the Comic-Con equivalent here in Toronto where we live. And I mean, I think there were some pretty big stars there.
Bigger than C2E2, I would say.
Yeah, it's surprising.
So we'll talk about that later.
All right, and then the final E, event flow, signage, lines.
Yeah, that's going to give an A from ReedPop.
Excellent.
Because you walk in from parking all the way to signing in. Yeah. They have, pre-registration. You get your wristband and you get your lanyard. And they line up pretty well. Doors open right at 10 o'clock, and then you can flood in. The signage is excellent. You know exactly where you're going to go. The only knock, I would say, would be the app wasn't really great. I downloaded it and it didn't really load properly and things like that. But other than that, I think ReadPop always does a pretty good job of getting you in and out safely and being able to kind of control the amount of people there.
Nice, good. Well, it sounds like you had a good time in Chicago. I know you went to a couple of restaurants that you reviewed, and so we'll have those up in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah.
So Chicago is what, a 7-hour drive?
It's like a 7-8 hour drive.
Detroit was a 4-hour drive.
Yes, double the length, but probably double the
more
fun.
than double.
More than double the fun. I would say if you're definitely in the Chicago area, or you're in the Toronto area or New York, you could drive to a con like that. Yeah. It's at the McCormick Place, which is a really big convention hall downtown Chicago, and you can park right there for $25. Get in, and the pricing is not too bad for this one. For children, it was only $20 for 3 days.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So if you got a couple kids, you buy an adult badge, it's not too bad.
Nice. So would you go again? Because I think we ended off with Detroit saying that we probably would never go back again.
I would say I wouldn't particularly go for this, but Chicago is such a big city that if I were there to do a few things, why not pop in for a day or two and have some fun. Yeah.
All right, that's C2E2 for 2022 C2E2. Let us know if you went. Let us know if what you think about what we think and what you think. And so let's please chat with us in the comments. Oh, and a big shout out. Big one. To MOVIE N1NJA, who I think is one of our number one fans. He's been watching our stuff. Always comments and kind of engages with us. It's great to hear from you, and always. So shout out to MOVIE N1NJA.
And we want more MOVIE N1NJA.
More
people.
MOVIE Ninjas.
Let's break the 100 mark. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for watching. That's it for us in this episode. Until next time, keep attending cons and watching things.
And please like and subscribe.
It's been so long.